ladies and gentlemen. This is Doc, aka the Dim Sum Don, aka Sam Wu Guevara, aka Dolphy Ziegler, aka the Chow Main Event, aka Ballin Corbin, aka your host, with my co-host here. You know him as American Numbers. I know him as Toro. Welcome to the state of wrestling, people, and I might be blowing smoke up my own ass, but I consider this to be the best news, business, wrestling podcast out there right now. Welcome to the State of Wrestling. Welcome
Aquí
to the show.
venimos desde Puerto Rico y California, la ola marrón. El doc filipino y el número americanos de Puerto Rico con la violencia y la noticia. Sorry, I like that. I may like make that a thing where like I always do like the lucha style open, the style of my old like Hugo Sabinovich, who's the guy who does the CML broadcast, the guy who did all the Puerto
Yeah.
Rico wrestling stuff, and wiped my brain as a kid. It's like, ooh, would come out like there's a. We're getting into stories, but like there's a great promo. If people get a chance, like go watch. There's this Terry Funk promo in Puerto Rico. He cuts after a Barry Windham match, where like he grabs. He literally in the promo, he's talking about like Rick Mortel's dead brother, and then he
Oh.
grabs Hugo Savinovich by the neck. He grabs him by the back of the neck during the interview, and like Hugo just freezes, and it's so great because like Hugo's like he's doing the whole he's scared and and Terry's grabbing him and holding him like a kitten, like he holds him by the scruff of the neck. It's an incredible. It's just like an incredible thing, and I'm like, it's like I always remind. It's like it's one of the great Terry Funk moments for like just conveying menace and just like
Yeah.
pure lucha, and that's what I like. So yeah, I do like that. I'm stealing the bit from Don Callis, but it's a good bit, right?
Hey.
And I can do it well.
Yeah. You had me freezing here like I'm Hugo Savinovich. But yeah, man, that was great. There's been a whole bunch of like news things coming on. And I feel like people aren't kind of covering it in the way I feel they should be covered. So let's hit that ground running. So, what did you think about this ESPN app rollout? Or as Brian and Dave were saying, we're arguing about ESPN Select, ESPN Unlimited, ESPN Plus.
Okay, I mean, I'm gonna start like for background for people, right? So essentially, what's going on, or like what I think is going on, we talked about this a little before, which is I think that there's a lot of media mergers and movements and freezings and kind of going on, and a lot of what's happening is um, essentially the traditional cable business is kind of dying, and so like a lot of the media companies are like selling off their assets and splitting off and doing things. So when that happens, that happened to WWE's broadcast, like pay per view and broadcast partner, who was like Comcast NBC, and we're going to be talking about Comcast NBC for a bit. But so Comcast NBC basically is splitting off their business, and as they split off their business, they split off the business that had USA, and they're like decided they didn't want to pay for the third hour of SmackDown, and the third hour of SmackDown was one of like arguably the most successful rating show on television at 10 p.m. So like it was a fairly valuable piece of real estate. They just said like, oh, we don't want to pay for that shit, and they got out of the pay-per-view business early. And like you can say that, oh no, they got a different like really what to me happened is like WWE basically canceled the package and said or went to WWE, probably went to WWE, like NBC probably went to WWE and said like, hey, we can't do we don't want to do the pay per view, and we don't want to be the streaming, and we don't want to do like because like we're splitting off there, we're not keeping wrestling, it's going on this new Bursan thing. And so ESPN was in a spot. Sorry, WWE was in a spot where it needed a partner, and they found ESPN. Now, exactly how the thing happened and whatnot, I mean, we don't. I think we don't know yet. My interpretation is that like basically NBC canceled it, or like they wanted to get out of the package, and we'll know completely because if Sunday night's main event, basically, I suspect will not be on NBC or Peacock in 2026. It's going to be on. If it exists as a primetime special, it'll probably be on ESPN. That's the writer. Essentially, like it's a bit more of a cancellation, kind of moving channels thing that happened that wasn't reported that way. Because again, like WWE likes to sell everything as Sunny Day and growth and whatnot, but that's what happened. They basically like the business moved from NBC to ESPN. And the reason it moved from NBC to ESPN is because one, I mean, obviously WWE needed a partner, but two, ESPN is trying to launch a new app, right? A new like a new streaming service.
Yeah.
It's not really new. What they're really doing is they're taking their old ESPN Plus thing, which is their old like if you subscribe like me to ESPN, and you have linear channels, and you're like me, you like to watch it on your laptop. I'm doing sports and scouting and whatnot, so I'll have like programs running on my second or third screen. I use the ESPN app a lot. I've used it for a while. You pull up the app and you can pull up anything that you pay for. If I pay for a linear ESPN sub and I pay for a linear ESPN sub for basketball and football and whatnot, I can watch Monday Night Football on my computer. I can watch like whatever the NBA game is or the college football game is. I put it on my computer because I have access to the app and my cable company pre-negotiates that access to the app. I log in through my cable and I have it. And this has been going on forever, so this isn't a new thing. This is the thing that they've always had, which is the ESPN app, which a lot of cable companies give you access to as part of your package. You don't pay extra. It's pre-negotiated. You log on to the app through the ESPN website, and you go to the Watch ESPN tab, and you get to the app, and you can watch the thing. So essentially, it's Watch ESPN or ESPN Plus. And ESPN Plus has existed for like 15. I don't even know how many years ESPN Plus has existed. You used to get the ESPN Mag. You would subscribe to ESPN Plus, and they would send you the ESPN magazine, right? You remember the ESPN magazine?
Yeah,
so you get that. You get like the commercials. You get the ESPN Mag in your house, and you get like the little book bags. I get the book bags. Yeah. I would have the ESPN mags I could read in the bathroom. It's great.
Yeah. I remember how big the covers used to be. It used to be like oddly like huge.
Yeah, I used to get like the ESPN mags. Remember the ESPN mags? And then the other mag that was great for the bathroom that was awesome, Game Informer.
Oh right? Yeah.
Remember
Game Informer,
the big glossy, like because
EGM,
like, people like the younger people listening to it don't understand. Like we used to get like these huge glossy magazines with like wonderful photos and like just incredible graphics and displays and just like long form articles about like Call of Duty. Like you don't understand. This stuff was the bomb. You just like it's like a nice physical. You pull it into the bathroom. It's great, right? Yeah. When I say the bathroom, when Doc understands this, it's like the old man, yeah, let me read an article on Doom Eternal. What the fuck? Yeah, this is great. Or like, or like
how many
Mario
times?
64. Yeah, it's like.
How many times did I read about Duke Nukem?
Yeah, Duke Nukem Forever. God, I was gonna say forever. You read about it like Jerry Funk would say, forever, forever. But yeah, I was like, it's been around for a while. Is the point? And so like essentially what they're doing is they're upselling that service and adding some additional extra content supposedly. And the additional extra content the ESPN has added that they want to charge you every month for is like the extra games that they don't put on TV. So like there's like a second division football game or like a high school football game or like I don't know, so like some third tier game that isn't making TV or any of the TV channels, and it's on there. And the thing that they added was WWE, right?
Yeah.
And so essentially the way it's set up is that right. So the upsell is $30, and like, but no, you'll push back like, but no, Arturo, they said that you were gonna get it for free, included. They're negotiating with the carriers. Okay, guys, like, let me explain what this means, right? Because I read the press releases and I understand, and I read the trades, and I know exactly what's going on. ESPN, like, what they do periodically is they do these things to try to force higher carrier fees. When I say carrier fees, they want to basically raise your cable bill. The majority of your cable bill, if you pay for linear cable, is ESPN and Disney networks. You don't know this, but it's the case, right? The biggest part of your cable bill, right, of everybody's cable bill is the ESPN charges for the sports, right? And the last time they did this using the NFL rights. So they moved Monday Night Football from ABC to ESPN, and they used that to like basically hold the cable companies hostage over Monday Night Football and the NFL and get higher carrier fees, right? And they did that before, and it worked. And they've done it a couple times where like you'll have like these showdowns between Comcast. Remember I said we were going to mention Comcast, who just got out of the WB business? Well, Comcast is a big player, but now they're on the side of like, are they going to pay more for WWE, or they're not really going to pay more? Are they going to raise your prices so that everyone can watch the pay-per-view? So what ESPN's trying to do, and they're very clear about it if you go out and read the press, like they don't care about people watching this Wrestlepalooza show on Saturday as much as they care about using it to create noise to get higher fees. What they want is to take that $30 a month, right, and add it to your basic cable bill for everyone, even if you do not watch WWE, right? So essentially what they want is they want to like mad people, and they want to use it to kind of force Comcast and AT&T and some of the other companies that haven't like signed up for this to sign up and just basically blanket raise everybody's like cable $30, right?
Yeah.
Or everybody who has ESPN. And the thing about this is the last time this happened, there was some reasonable expectation that they might take Monday Night Football off. I would say that now, yes, like I think so. Comcast and some of these other cable companies know that like ESPN can't take the NFL off, right? Even if they tried to take the NFL off Monday Night Football, what I suspect would happen, I was talking to Doc about this beforehand, is I suspect the NFL is going to tell them, no, fuckers, you put it on ABC. So essentially, if they did a blackout, I suspect that like they would, no, which is, they do this during the season. They'll have weeks where they have 2 games and one of them will get put. So essentially, I suspect that the NFL will say like, oh, do your little blackout, but you got to put Monday Night Football on ESPN, on ABC. And really, ESPN's not going to tell the NFL no, right? It's like the power dynamic there is like the last time it was a slightly, oh, they're a big broadcast, but now it's like, yeah, fucker, if you do this, then like we're gonna basically look to exercise an exit clause, and Amazon's like eager and happy to get like the Monday night game if they wanted it. So like they're already doing the Thursday night. Like we got partners. Like I'm sure Netflix would love to get Monday Night Football. So definitely. Yeah, ESPN like doesn't have the leverage to force it doing that, so they have to use other sports, right? Which is what they're using WWE for. So essentially, they're trying to get to that. So like, but the point is, so what this is going to lead to is you're going to get a 2-tier. What I suspect this is going to lead to is this is going to lead to a 2-tier system, where like people like I already have that with my cable company, where like I have access to the linear stuff as I mentioned, like so everything that's on linear I have access to on streaming. I don't have access to unlimited. I would, if I click on Wrestlepalooza, it says, "Hey, you need to have an ESPN, like a ESPN Unlimited, or a Disney Plus with ESPN Unlimited account, which is $30 a month, to watch this." Right? So you're going to have to pay for it. And essentially, what the cable companies are going to do is they're going to give you like a base ESPN tier, and they're going to give you an ESPN Unlimited tier, which will cost you more. And if you pay that more money, then you get access to WWE. So essentially what this comes down to is, you were lied to. You were never getting WWE for free, right? You were getting WWE paying for it. Now you were either paying for it directly or you were paying for it through the cable company. You were paying for it, right? Like this was never going to be a free thing. And like if you go and read the press releases from Mark Shapiro and some of the other interviews, ESPN is pretty clear about what they're trying to do. And some of the analyst pieces that I saw, essentially like ESPN is really trying to like raise their prices, and they don't care if they lose subscribers while doing it, because essentially what they care about is the bottom line. They're just trying to wealth extract on this, so they don't really care. That's all going to be a topic that we talk about. So now we're sitting in a situation where like the people who are going to be able to view this Wrestlepalooza show, right, are going to be extremely limited, because it's going to be either like the population is going to be people who are already paying a higher cable fee, right? And people who are already paying a higher cable fee and have it, which there are some people who have that, and care enough to watch it. That's one. 2, people who are willing to go and pay $30 a month for this. Essentially, this is like the last time they had like a pay-per-view like this, was like fairly big, but like brand new, was like probably like Great Balls of Fire, which was like the Brock Lesnar Samoa Joe main event. And that was a much more exciting like main event than this, right? So like it's somebody like, so these WWE fans that haven't paid for like a pay-per-view, there's these fans that haven't paid for a pay-per-view since what? Like 15 years, like since the network?
2013.
Yeah, so it's like 12 years since they've paid for a pay-per-view. Like this brand new generation has never paid for a pay-per-view. And you're asking them to go off and like do this whole like involved stuff and play $30. So I think this show is very fascinating, because it's like a microcosm of things, and like people in the wrestling media reported this without understanding what the hell they were reporting. They took the spin that WWE gave. Oh, everyone's going to have access, but this is like access to healthcare. Yeah, they're going to have access to healthcare, but they're going to have to pay through the fucking nose to get it anyway.
Yeah.
And they misunderstood what this was. Whereas, like, if you read the trades and you read what ESPN was saying, and you read that, like, this was very clear this was going to happen. This show was never set up to succeed, right? And I mean, ESPN has pushed it a little bit. It's kind of funny. You can go and look up the schedule. So now it's on ESPN News. They're on today. They're on ESPN2. There's like a I think there's like a 5 o'clock special on ESPN2.
Yeah.
And they're on the 6 p.m. Sports Center today, right? So but there's no coverage on ESPN2 or ESPN tomorrow. It's all ESPN News tomorrow, and it's on against like football on college football on ABC and ESPN and ESPN2 and ESPNU, right? So ESPN is not treating WWE as a prime partner. And like a lot of people say, like,
Toro.
oh, they're like, oh, it's yeah.
Hey, did you watch that clip where they were having college football on ESPN, right? That clip where they were promoting
and
the
they
show.
didn't, and the guy like messed up the read. Yes,
Yeah,
yes, I watched that.
John Cena versus Brock Lesnar. I think that's what he said.
Like, oh God, see, like the other part is like, so here's the thing, like a lot of people were saying, oh, the ESPN is such a great partner. It's like, dude, like ESPN has had issues with all their major sports partners. There's complaints about the NBA coverage. There's complaints about the NFL coverage. They're like in a blood war with MLB, right? The NHL fans are big fucking mad about it. And now you're like, so like these are the four major sports, right? And now you're getting into like, the redheaded stepchild WWE, which I mean, like you see how they're treating them. Like they're treating them as kind of an also-ran. And that's, again, this is on the ESPN side. The other really interesting part about this, right? It's we're going to get now into the Stephanie telling people to watch it using a VPN on Netflix angle. Yeah. So the other part that's not being covered, right? And this is really important. My understanding is that ESPN paid for full rights for the WWE pay-per-view in the US. What does that mean?
And they also get paid for the advertising that's going to air during the show.
Right. So effectively all the money on pay-per-view sales in the US, as far as I understand the deal, are going to ESPN, not WWE. Now here's why this is a problem. This is there's a saying in Spanish which says músico paga no toca, which is musician who's already gotten paid doesn't play well, right? Effectively, it takes a lot of discipline as an organization. If you're not making additional money from something, right, to treat it as important. So essentially, WWE sold it like they don't make any additional money from these pay-per-views. It's all ESPN. ESPN is going to treat it basically like an also-ran. It's like the 5th, 6th, 7th property on the it's not as important as NHL to them, right? And it's not as an important partner, so they're not going to treat it very importantly. And then WWE doesn't make any additional money from ESPN selling this, which means that they don't care about the promotion that much. I mean, they care now because it's the premiere, but like, how's that going to play out when it's backlash in 6 months? Like, are they going to give a shit about it? I mean, like, it's not organizationally. They have to give a shit about something that's not generating them extra revenue. Are they going to care about that? Or they care about the TV that like they are getting ads from? So it's a really kind of thing where it kind of dovetails where like these pay-per-views might become like fancy house shows, right? Because essentially there's no this is like the incentive isn't there, and like the other really kind of it's a very bad set of incentives where like talking like it's becoming more and more like UFC where like they're pricing people out, right? They don't care about the quality of the shows or building the brand long term because they've already made their money. So these shows are already paid, and like it becomes like really interesting. I was highlighting this, and I was like, it shows me that like WWE hasn't really thought about it or doesn't really care. It's like I was like, okay, so Doc, what happens the same week as WrestleMania on ESPN?
The first week of the NBA playoffs.
Right, and who might be retiring this year?
The King.
LeBron James. So there's a real chance that like WrestleMania on ESPN is going on against the last game one, and also like the play-in. Like LeBron might be in the play-in, which ESPN also has the right for. So like you might have LeBron in the play-in. You might have LeBron playing his last game one of the playoffs. So it's his last run. So like it's gonna be like there's a real chance that like that Mania week on ESPN is gonna be wall to wall LeBron. It's gonna be like LeBron. Yeah. Let's talk LeBron's kids. Let's talk LeBron's friends. It's gonna be like Kendrick Perkins on like Kendrick Perkins is gonna be like on like he's gonna be showing up at like like soccer games and like the dog the dog surfing championships to promote LeBron James that week, and like people laugh, like you laugh, but like
It's
they didn't
true.
really think about it. It's like you think about how this is going to play out, and there's also like a Knicks, like the Knicks might be the number one seed in the East, and they like so the like there's going to be 6 playoff games that weekend
With the
between
two
ABC
biggest
and
markets.
ESPN, with the two biggest markets, with LeBron possibly retiring, and they're the broadcast partner for the U.S. for WrestleMania, right? I'm like, how is and like it's like the third. It's also like the second or third week of baseball too. So like, how is that going to play out? And how is I mean, I see how ESPN is. This is what like the third. This is like a random. There's like a week 4 of the college football season, and like ESPN's not even bothering to bump, and they're not bumping shit for college football, and it's
Yeah.
not as important as like the playoffs. Like playoffs is like one of the biggest things that they have on ESPN. It's like one of the big like if people like who are not basketball fans, it's wall to wall coverage Saturday and Sunday. Like there's wall to wall games from like 1 o'clock to like 1 o'clock on Saturday to like 1 a.m. on Sunday, right? From when you get up, it's like it's at all times NBA basketball either on ABC or ESPN, and they do this every year, and it's a big fucking deal. And they're not going to talk about Mania, right? And so to
What
me,
value is
this
there to bring up WrestleMania during your biggest one of some of your biggest ratings for the playoffs? What's the point of that?
well, no, I mean, like to me, it just kind of shows that like when people were saying, "Oh, ESPN's a great partner," I'm like,
I,
you don't, you don't, you again, you have to think about one how the partner is going to treat you, and we kind of knew how ESPN was going to treat WWE. Two, how WWE is going to care about it, and like, what the opportunity is. If WWE was on Peacock, right?
yeah.
And Peacock would treat it as, and then we know that Peacock treated WWE and WrestleMania as the biggest thing on the streamer because it was. It generated it was the thing that was generating the most views, and like Netflix has been a decent partner in terms of like treating it with importance. But I can tell you right now that I know that ESPN's not going to treat it as the most important thing that weekend. Like, prove me wrong. Like, it's September 19th, right? So like, let's round back in April 2026 and tell me I'm wrong. But I'm like looking at the schedule and going like, I know what ESPN paid for, and I know what they're in, and I know who control. Like, I know who the most influential athlete and agency is to ESPN. It's LeBron's agency, and like, so how is this? How is WWE like? I know Nick Khan, they used to call Nick Khan the CEO of ESPN at one point, but like
Yeah.
this was like in a previous regime, and like just looking at it now, I'm like, I don't see how this plays out. And
Hey
again, like,
Toro. Hey
and
Toro.
but
Um, you know what streaming service is also going to air the NBA playoffs?
what streaming service is also getting good? Oh, HBO Max.
Peacock.
Oh, Peacock, yeah. Well, Peacock also got into the NBA beast, but also I think wait, no, I'm not sure if if TNT still has. I think I think last year was the last game, but you're right. It's also Peacock. So where we're at, right, is we're in a space where WWE did something, which again, we were talking about this before the call. We were talking about they're doing the TKO thing, right?
Yeah.
And you were talking about the TKO where like they're doing the TKO thing where like TKO basically like priced everybody out and for UFC. They priced everybody out for UFC. They're doing these really expensive shows.
Yeah.
And they made them less accessible to the fans, right? And boxing did this too when at the start of the pay-per-view era, and the problem with this is you can like tell these spirals in these sports because historically this is what happens. A lot of these sports will like get into the space where like, oh, we're gonna put a paywall on everything and we're gonna make it less accessible to the fans. And the problem with that is, yes, it makes you a bunch of money short term. Right? So for 10 or 15 years you make a shit ton of money, but you don't create any new fans. And if you don't create any new fans because you don't make the product accessible and nobody knows what the fuck it is and it's not good, then in 10 or 15 years, nobody knows what your product is and nobody wants it.
Yeah.
And the analogy I was using was, and Doc and I were talking about this too, is like Bugs Bunny, right? Like,
Yes.
like Doc, when you were a kid, how many hours of Bugs Bunny were on TV on Saturday mornings?
Well, on Disney Saturday morning on ABC, they would have 4 hour block of Warner Brothers Looney Tunes
Yeah.
cartoons. And
This
this
is
is the
it. Na, on with the show. This is it. They would come out like they do the.
yeah.
They'll start
But
dancing, and like everyone's like, yeah, we're gonna watch. It's like, and that wasn't the only thing. Like, because I remember like too, like on like the local TVs, I get like the Porky Pig show. I get the Porky Pig show on the local
yeah,
TV at like 7 in the morning when I get up as a kid. And like if you're like me, you get the Spanish stuff. You get like Speedy Gonzales and like, but it's like in the Roadrunner, and they're on like you could like if you could theoretically get like a good 20 or 25 hours a
yeah.
week of just Looney Tunes on free TV,
This was why
and
Space
that
Jam
made
was
that
such
I
a big movie for my generation, for the
yeah
millennials,
because it
because
was
we grew up with the
because
Looney
it
Tunes.
right, and you can tell what movies are successful because it's the things that like people would watch like 20 years, like the Sonic movie. Like people are like, oh, the Sonic movie isn't going to work. The Sonic movie, people used to like the Sonic comic books and the Sonic cartoons, and that thing was really popular 20 years ago. People like
Yeah,
used like the Archie comics, the Sonic Archie comics. Let's not even get into that. That's a whole weird kind of. But like people were really into that stuff, and essentially that creates kind of a built-in audience and WWE has that, and they're like Mark. I forget who it was. It was one of the.
it's either, I think it
Was
might
it
have been
Mark Shapiro?
Shapiro.
It might have been Shapiro who's talking about how Vince, like, oh, Vince, like, left the
Yeah, that's
prices
Mark
low,
Shapiro.
so the families could come in, and like people came in the house shows, and because the reason Vince did that, right? And we were talking about this. The WWE goes back to like the Goldust trio back in like the 20s and 30s, and then like Vince Senior and then Vince Junior, and they set it up so that these shows, these matinee shows, were accessible to families and they were accessible to like young people because they understood that long term, for a sustainable business model, you need to create new fans. So these are the kids who we're watching now and coming to shows are the people who are going to be bringing their kids in 15 years, right? And that's kind of something you want to create. And by taking the WrestleMania to Saudi Arabia and by like pricing these like seats at 5,000, 10,000, and by like getting rid of the cheap accessible seats, right? Then you're making it and like putting everything behind a paywall and making everything really hard to watch. You're going to kill your new generation of fans. And
Yeah, I
it's
also
kind of
want
funny
to.
because it's kind of funny because the way that Vince got his company ready to sell and sold it off was in part because he was able to get like a lot of his content between the network and Peacock out there. Like there's a bunch of
Yeah,
people who like consumed the whole play because it was free and accessible. It was like it was there and people kind of like got used to getting that together. And I'm like again, I'm really curious how WrestlePalooza is going to
hey,
play out
hey
when you've
Arturo.
created this audience. Go ahead.
Yeah, I know we're talking about like free TV, right? Over the air TV. When we talk about free TV, like you put your antenna onto your TV and you get those channels. So like, where did their big boom over the last 6 years come from? And what channel were they on?
Peacock.
No, what over the air channel were they on?
Oh, they were on Fox, but I don't think like I think like again I don't I think the Fox thing worked out a little bit, but the big
Yeah,
one was being on Peacock for free. Basically,
yeah,
NBC and Peacock pushed it, and what made the new generation was the fact that the pay-per-views were free or very accessible on Peacock.
three
And what
ninety
I think
nine.
is going on now, like if we want to talk about like AEW a little bit, what's going on now with AEW, and I said this, and people said, "Oh, you're."
We had a little bit of technical difficulties, but we're back.
Yeah, it's like they're trying to silence me, so they cut my power lines. I'm joking, but like, no, it happens occasionally. Like I'm sitting there, like we were talking before the pod, and it was like raining pretty hard where I'm at. Like it's I think lightning struck somewhere, like took out a power line. It'll come back, but in the interim, I just went out and found my Bluetooth, and we can talk about this. So I was
Yeah,
gonna say, so in parallel, one of the things I said when you know, yeah, AEW negotiated a new deal, is that HBO Max is going to be real. Like HBO is going to be really important and a really good partner for AEW in terms of growth because, like Peacock, it's a streaming service, but I'm liking that like HBO Max as a way bigger reach than Peacock. Everyone
Yes.
has it. Everybody like watches HBO. It's the most successful like cable company there is, or cable channel there is. People watch Game of Thrones and watch like Sopranos and watch Oz and watch a bunch of shit on historically on like the Wire and HBO. So it's a partner that everyone knows. Turned out to be right on this one, like that accessibility. And again, we only have estimated numbers as of right now, but every indication seems to be that HBO has been a great partner and has helped the business grow. Right?
Yeah.
There's some discussion about kind of like live attendances, but the pay-per-view numbers and like the ratings that they're getting off the single cast, like in context, are like really great. Like
Yeah.
they sound like incredible. They just went up 20%, and they went up 20% on their linear network week to week when both AEW and HBO switched full voice to say, "Hey, watch it on HBO." So I imagine the HBO numbers are like something insane too. And I'm thinking they're going to have great numbers on this pay per view because again, both, even it's funny because HBO is hyping it, but like we're talking about this too, and like Amazon got into it because there was on Thursday Night Football last night. There's a full on Watch All Out on Amazon Prime app, right? So like, Amazon's like, no, still give us more money. So like the partners are not only happy with them, but like they're like pushing out of their own pocket to like, hey, we want to get more eyeballs. So like
It's great.
it's very good to have it's very good to have active partners that like your product and push it, which is kind of what's going on with AEW and HBO. It's very simple. It parallels what happened with Peacock. And actually, I think it parallels with JLO because, again, I think that HBO is a much better partner than any of the streaming partners that WWE had. People are saying it's kind of controversial, but like I think in terms of pushing the product, particularly in the US, I think Netflix is the only one that would be in the level of HBO, and Netflix doesn't have the US pin reruns. People thought they were going to get them, but they never did. So now you're getting, it gets back to the ESPN thing. It's like ESPN's pushing it as a new service, but the priority for ESPN is not pushing WWE or selling these pay-per-views. The priority is selling the Hereditary fees, right?
Yeah.
ESPN
Yeah.
is on record as saying that they don't care if you can't watch WrestlePalooza.
After being shut down by the House of Mouse twice, hopefully this time we're good to go. Man, I was thinking about how it's gonna go with the numbers of WrestlePalooza, right? For that end, like
Yeah.
what you've been saying the whole time is like they don't really care about the numbers. That's what I've been saying this whole time. I was saying the whole
I
time
mean,
that WWE doesn't really care about the numbers they got because they already got the money, the $1.6 billion from ESPN to air it. This is why they went on the Stephanie McMahon podcast and say, "Hey, why are you gonna waste money when you could just buy the $6 VPN, use a code word Stephanie whatever, and purchase this VPN so you can watch WWE on Netflix?" Because they get more out of that, right? They get more out of it, and they're trying to boost their international numbers on Netflix, right? That's what.
I mean, I think they understand that like the mouse doesn't like essentially. This again strikes me as something where like they did a deal where like Nick's doing a favor for somebody else. They're getting a bunch of money too. It's not much as much of a favor, but essentially they understand that they're sacrificing. They're not. This is not a partnership to me that is going to lead them to get a lot of views, right?
No.
And I can't see going from either nothing or what. What was the last peak on? Like $5.99 a month was like the last peak up number.
Yeah. Yeah.
To like $30. Like a lot of people, like for example, like I'm not gonna say I like. I mean, I share a Peacock subscription, right? Because I use it for like for watching some Premier League games and some other things, and I use it for the Olympics, and my parents use it for tennis.
Yeah.
So I don't like I don't even pay that much for Peacock, but like so I mean like and I'll occasionally watch the WWE thing. Like if I'm curious about something or somebody talks about something, I need to see it. But I'm not paying that much a month for it. Like I would not pay $30 out of my own freaking pocket. I mean, like again, I'm not a regular watcher, but like what is the mentality of somebody who's going to like one of these new fans who've never paid for something like this before? Are they going to spend $30 of their own money for this, right?
Because we're talking about going from $9.99, and then when it went to Peacock, it went all the way down to $3.99.
Or less.
They went down to $3.99
Like
on Peacock. That's how much Peacock was for my sibling. She only paid $3.99, $14.99 a month for this, and to go from $14.99 up to $30. I know Dave was saying this on his show about WWE fans treat WWE like as a religion, right? They have to pay their tithing to watch, and
well, it's a weird thing. So it's a weird thing. So I've actually looked at the way the business has gone for like 30 years because I'm a weirdo and I sit there and look at these numbers.
Hey, you're a wrestling fan.
And no, I mean, I guess I look. I spend my time on boards arguing with like some of the hardcore guys. Like, so I argue. I have enemies, or like not enemies, or like rivals, and people like I have big arguments with, who are on like people that Dave Meltzer will bring on his shows to talk about the Hall of Fame. Like, so like. Like, well, like there's one in particular, like, so where we have some legitimate beef. So I spent my time on this, and then I put some stuff together for the Hall of Fame. We'll actually like do something for the Hall of Fame at some point too. Yeah. But like, effectively, the point being that like I care about this. And I look at these numbers, and one thing, that really interesting thing, that a really smart thing that WWE did was WWE shifted their revenue base, right, from being direct to consumer to being more. What they call business to business revenue, right? So a lot of the business for WWE, like a lot of the way WWE grew and protected themselves was like, instead of them getting money from you as a fan, they moved to say, no, we're going to get money from the broadcasters, we're going to get money from the sites, we're going to get money from other businesses paying us, right? Yeah. And the advantage of this, right, is that if I have a TV contract and I have a contract to do Saudi shows and I have a contract to do all these venues and stuff, that money is not dependent on the ups and downs of the business. That money is fixed money, right?
Yeah.
So if the majority of the revenue is fixed, then my concern with the quality and my booking on a day-to-day basis is reduced, which can be good, which can be bad, because essentially it leads to things like the Roman push, where like you're pushing a guy who isn't over, but you don't give a shit because it's not affecting your bottom line, right? Or it's not affecting your bottom line much, or it's less than it should.
Yeah,
but it also does give you the freedom to sometimes say, you know, we're gonna take 2 years to build this shit up, because we don't care, we're gonna build this up, and like, so you build the bloodline because you take 2 years or 3 years to build it up until it actually fucking works, because you don't care about the houses in the short term, or you don't care about it because you've got a big TV deal coming up. And the thing that's actually shifted here is, for the first time, WWE has gone from charging somebody else to pay for it, right, to charging you. Now, so what they're trying to do with the ESPN thing is they're charging ESPN for the rights to sell the pay-per-view. So they are still getting their money, but they're also charging the customer, and now the customer has to show with their pocket how much they value this product, which is something that we haven't seen for a very long time. Now, this is different from saying, oh, are they going to show up to a live venue or a live show to see it, right? Because essentially this is kind of, again, like the UFC. Like, people will show up for these UFC events, right, and pay a high ticket price. This is a bit like, if people are familiar with the thing with Disney World, where like Disney World has priced out like the regular families by like raising prices, because they understand that they have a limited number of tickets and they can keep raising prices without and still be at capacity. Like, if I can only get this many people in a single day, I can keep raising prices because there's a scarcity effect going on. So the same thing for like the events. What WWE has done is interesting, because WWE has reduced dramatically the amount of shows they run in the U.S. The house shows, they don't do the house show tours. They don't do as many arena shows in the U.S. They don't do as many pay-per-views in the U.S. They basically moved away. They do a lot less house shows. They do a lot more shows, paid shows outside the U.S. So they've reduced the quantity of shows that they do, while raising the base price on tickets. Yeah, they've basically created they've basically like hidden some of the shit by increasing scarcity, by reducing the amount of shows they do in the tickets, and the other part, but now, whereas they were giving away they were essentially giving away like free pay-per-view seats. Like pay-per-views are essentially like seats in your house to watch the show live. So they were giving away these seats by having a provider pay for them, but not the customer. And the customer basically getting them for like a song or getting you're getting Peacock for like $6.99 a month. You're not just getting WWE. You're getting like the Olympics. You're getting like soccer games. You're getting access to Sunday Night Football. You're getting access to The Office. You're getting some shit, right?
Yeah.
And now it's at the point where like, no, you have to pay $30 for that seat to see that show live. And I'm fascinated by the idea that these fans who've never paid for a ticket, right?
Yeah.
The WWE Universe fans, not the guys who go to live shows. I'm talking about the people who never pay for a ticket, right? Are going to have to pay $30, and they're not getting any other value for it. And like the other part is, I think WWE doesn't have an incentive for these guys to buy it because they've already gotten paid. They're like the musician who already got paid. And in fact, WWE is probably going to see. I think the sign for Wrestlepalooza is what is the first PR number that is pushed for Wrestlepalooza, and if it's something like Brock Lesnar and Cena get like 50 million views on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Then that's gonna be like, or they push an international number on Netflix, and like this is what's gonna kind of like there's gonna be some PR. There's gonna be what the PR play when these numbers come out. That's gonna be really fascinating.
Yeah.
Because again, like this is the first time that WWE has gone into the UFC model, where we're leaving money on the table. But the reason they were leaving money on the table is the thing that I was talking about before. Is WWE was leaving money on the table on these shows and accessibility to watch these shows because they understood, like Vince understood, that it's free advertising, right? So I want you to see my wrestlers, and I want you to see them on TV because I identify them as superstars because I make my money on the back end. I make my money on the value of the IP. I make my money on the merchandising. I make my money on the other things. And if you start extracting value from the thing that makes you popular, right?
Yeah.
Then it's going to make your product and your brand less valuable over the long term, right? There's only so much
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, we were talking about this. It's a little bit like Star Wars and like Marvel. There's a certain level of value and goodwill you can get, but once you start using the goodwill to extract value, then essentially you're playing for time because you're going to destroy the value of the IP by doing this, right?
Yeah.
And
I do want to go back a little bit to your YouTube comment, right? Where they're gonna get their value from this, about they had this many views internationally on YouTube on Netflix, and then getting so many views on YouTube, and getting this many trending on Twitter. That's where they're gonna.
I have no doubt that the Wrestlepalooza show is going to get a shit ton of YouTube views, right?
Yeah, but is that translating to?
Are these people?
Is that translating to buys for ESPN?
Yes, correct. And here's the thing: the people who have the money to buy pay-per-views, are they going to buy wrestling pay-per-views? Are they going to buy this pay-per-view for WWE, or are they going to get All Out and watch the Cowboy and Kyle Fletcher in what looks like to be like based on the ratings, it looks to be like a very hot match that may be match of the level quality, because look at Kyle's work recently, Hammond's work recently. Are they going to play for that, watch that live, and then either watch the WWE thing on pirate sites, like my friends in China, Billy in China, or whatever, find it somewhere, or watch the clips on YouTube? Because again, there is no match on this WWE card that is a match that I'm going to I typically at the end of the year I vote on match of the year list. I go back and watch the best matches, and I would bet money that there isn't going to be a single match on this WrestleMania card that I'm gonna Wrestlepalooza card that I'm going to watch in full for that end of year list.
You're telling me the biggest star in the world returning AJ Lee, the biggest star of a decade ago, is not a draw. Are you? Is this what you're telling me, sir? Is this what you're telling me?
Yes, yeah. I mean, my girl AJ from Puerto Rico, love her family in Puerto Rico. She's another Puerto Rican and she's great, but
Hey,
she was
wepa.
never a great worker. She was never a great worker. She's never not somebody that can watch. It's like, God, like I mentioned, like that. I bought All Out last night. So I bought All Out last night. And somebody was like it's hard to buy. I'm like, let me go check it. And I went. I was logged on to HBO because I watch HBO regularly on my computer. Went. It was HBO. I looked, searched for All Out, clicked through it. On it. I just had to give it my zip code so it could charge me sales tax.
Yeah.
It went through no problem, and then it kicked me to Double or Nothing 2019. Right? It said, "Oh, you bought this? You want to watch this?" So I immediately put up Double or Nothing 2019. I started watching it with a couple people, and man, I was watching it and bring it up because I'm watching that show, and there's two women's matches on that show. It's the first AEW like pay-per-view, and it's really interesting because like the first women's match is a traditional women's four-way, and it's actually like you watch. It's Britt Baker, Kylie Ray, Nyla Rose, and Awesome Kong is a four-way, right?
Yeah.
Which sounds like it could be a mess, but like you watch that match, it's booked very AEW like traditional four-way, where it's a fun match. Like they highlight the best parts of that. Everyone looks kind of okay. It's like a 3-star special, right? It's a fun little 3-star special. The crowd is super hot for it, right? Everyone's into Kong, everyone's like into Nyla and Kylie Ray. Like it's a fun match. And then they do the Yoshi match in that, which is that Yoshi match is incredible. It's like it's Shida, Riho. I didn't know you could do both of them at the same time. I forget her name. She's one of the Sendai girls who never takes a pin. Emmy Aja Kong, and I'm forgetting somebody's Emmy Aja Kong. Who's the other one? Takeshi's wife, the magical girl, Muka. And like that match is fucking awesome. But the fun part about that match is like Sheeta is the most amazing. Like I'm watching that show, and like if I was watching and rewatching, and go like, if I'm watching the show, the finding in that show is that Sheeta's really fucking good, right? Because Sheeta's great in that match. But the fun part is like you watch that, and a lot of those like the emotions of the Cody Dustin match, the Bucks Lucha Bros match was like, it's funny. It was like I'm watching that match. It's Penta's fat in that match, right? So Penta's not anywhere close to the shape that he's now. And you can kind of tell because it's not as good as some of the other. It's great, but it's not as good as some of the other ones. So like comparing with elite matches. And then the Jericho Kenny match, which at the time people were like, it's okay. That match is like a 4 3/4 match to me. It's like superb selling. Like Jericho's the same age Tana's now, and he's doing crazy shit, right? Like Jericho does shit in that like Kenny Jericho match that like neither Brock nor Cena is like nobody on this WWE card is going to come close to what Jericho at 48 was doing in that main event, right?
I think he did like his Super Frankensteiner in that match, which at that size he was back then was crazy.
At the end, after they beat the shit out of each other, they throw themselves through tables, and in the closing sequence, like Jericho does this spring drop kick off the second rope. So he basically he basically jumps off the second rope, jumps over the third rope to kick Kenny, who's on the mat. Like this, and I'm watching. They're doing these moves, and I'm like, and Jericho's doing stuff that I'm like, shit. If like just really fucking impressive stuff. And the selling in that match, they're selling like they're trying to murder each other, and they're selling like the like it's just like very visceral, very like physical. It's like an old school All Japan match, and it's fucking great. And I'm like watching that and going like, just trying to think like, is anybody on this WWE show going to work at the level of what 48-year-old Chris Jericho was doing back in 2019? I'm like, no, not even fucking close. Nobody's gonna come close to that fucking match. I doubt anybody. There's like a best friends. What is it? The opening match is SCU and Strong Hearts is the opening, the first, which is the weirdest fucking match to watch. And I'm like, is anybody on this WWE show gonna work at the level of that like SCU Strong Hearts match? No, fuck no way. Because like essentially like the best workers probably are. I mean, Cody and Drew will be like a nice serviceable match. It's like it doesn't have any heat on it. The main event is the intergender match probably, and that intergender match, I know how they work them. Like WWE is gonna be very Baron Corbin and I forget what her name was against like You know who I mean? Lacey
Yeah.
Evans against like Seth and Becky, and it's not going to be worked very. It's not going to be like very complicated, and then like you throw in AJ, who like AJ does have some injuries, and I think that I don't know that they're going to work like a really bump heavy match. So it'll be like a lot of like WWE like schlock comedy, particularly with like Seth kind of healing it up, which is kind of like really fucking interesting thing for Punk to be doing. But fine, it's not going to be a great match, right? Like
But
so.
the moments.
But again, if you're watching, again, this is what the problem for this is. And this is another, like if you look at the ad rates and you look at how live shows for WWE are doing, where the live numbers are disappointing, the problem is like these shows are not built for you to watch live. This isn't like, if you think about the Dynamite, which again I mentioned that the Dynamite did a crazy rating, 20% up on cable, which is insane. Nobody goes up 20% like that, right? And they're doing 20% up with them and the broadcast partner pushing HBO as the place to view it. So they're jumping on the secondary network 20%, which is insane. But like nobody's like, if you watch that show, you know, you have something like Dorada and Hechicero, which is it's a great match. There's like some really great, like there's a Bobby Roode Toa match.
Bobby Lashley.
Sorry, Bobby Lashley Toa Leona match. It's insane.
Man.
It's a great match. It's like the best match Bobby's worked in ages. Right? He's bumping all over the place for it. Like the crowd is.
That apron Samoan drop was crazy, man. That apron Samoan drop, there's no way to take that bump, right? Oh my god, that match was good.
But that Dynamite is a much better kind of product for people to buy and see than, again, I'm talking about a live sports product. I want to be clear on this. Live sports product, right? The issue is if you're trying to sell pay-per-views, right? You have to sell people on wanting to see the whole fucking match, and they want to see it live as it happens. Not come after and see the clips of the closing stretch or like the run-in at the end, which is like a lot of the problem with these shows is like they're booked in a way where like, and nobody cares until the last fight, like until the run-in starts to happen, right?
Yeah.
Predictable run-ins start to happen. So it's a very weird place where I'm fascinated to see how WWE is going to survive trying to go to this UFC model, and how is their brand going to survive this? Because essentially they've put some real headwinds against fans who, like this new generation of fans that they haven't had these headwinds. Yeah. And whereas I think Tony is actually like understood, and AEW has understood that like they've made everything a lot friendlier now. It's very easy to get that. Like HBO seems to like, from some of the promos, HBO loves Tony Storm, right? They've had her on all the promos for this, and they're like, oh, Tony's great. They had this great thing where like Tony's reading off the lines from different HBO shows, and HBO's pushing it on the main account and social. Like, yeah, I mean, like they've cracked making it friendly. Now, short term, I mean, like, you know, it's going to take a while, but if you're making your product accessible and available, and you're putting in a quality pay-per-view product and putting in like rewarding people for their money, you know, it's going to kind of help you grow your brand. Now, there are different styles of brands. I've argued that like really WWE has always been more of a popular brand, right? Or a kids brand.
It's a brand name.
It's basically like a schlock. It's a summer blockbuster, right? Whereas like AEW has never tried to be that. AEW has always tried to be the Oscar bait film, right? So like the prestige brand, they're gonna do like a more adult product. You know, somebody's gonna bleed like buckets.
Yeah. It's
have
not
complex
TV.
Stories.
It's HBO.
It's HBO, man. It's HBO. And so like that's the other part. It's like I think that the partnership is great because it's a product that's geared to a premier audience, which is what HBO is. Right?
Yeah. I also want to say this because you've been saying this a lot. WWE moving to a UFC model, right? UFC goes to a WWE model by putting all of their big shows on Paramount. All of them. I think that's pretty funny.
But you have to pay for them.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a tier. So again, the problem ultimately for a lot of these brands, right? For every brand, is that the way you build brand loyalty and you build your IP is by making your brand and IP accessible to a broad audience, which is why. What's the most popular thing? Anime. Why? Because anime was the cheap content that was on TV. It was the content that every station could afford, right? So everybody could go and get like Knights of Zodiac or like Dragon Ball, like
Dragon Ball
these things
Z.
were available. Yeah, I mean, like, what's
That's
what's
how I
the
learned
joke?
Spanish, bro.
Like, they had a huge, was the biggest show for CMLL, or the biggest sale was like they had the Pokemon show.
Yeah,
They had the
it was
Pokemon,
like
and like they were
instant.
joking. They were joking that if they did a cross promotion with Dragon Ball, they would have to book they have to
soccer
do
stadium.
the arena show. The soccer stadium is the only way. Like if they booked Goku, like no, they got it. Like no, we gotta work a soccer. We gotta work like
You
the
got to.
100,000 people. Like what is it? They have the arena in Mexico City, which holds 180,000 people for concerts. That's what you would have to. You'd have to run the Goku match in the. In
Like
the center,
I want to tell people this because like, so when they had the Tournament of Power, when Dragon Ball Super was airing live, they had aired.
Yes.
They in the streets, blocks and blocks of were cut off so they could project it onto the screens and play it for people there to watch, and people reacted like they were in a wrestling environment. It was.
You can go look up reactions in Mexico for the first time Goku goes Ultra Instinct. Yeah. Oh Jesus Christ.
Oh my God.
It's like the biggest reaction you could get out of Mexico outside of Mexico winning the World Cup final, right? It's like people just losing their minds. It's
in Japanese.
Deal. And in Japanese. But again, the point being that what people kind of fail to understand, or like, I don't know why these companies used to know this, which is like, and again, I said they were criticizing Vince for this, and like as much shit as I'll give Vince and his dad and like the people who worked with him understood that again, you have to create the next generation of fans, and you do that by making the product accessible. And this is the way like wrestling has always worked like this. You had the local TV that would show matches and build the feuds so that people would pay for the feud enders in these weekend shows and come live. And again, the logic hasn't changed on this. Like if it's the same logic with Marvel films. Like the reason people love the Marvel films, there's a lot of people who grew up in the comics, particularly in the 80s, because there was a big boom in the 80s and 90s. Now, those stories, now when you start getting into stories that like nobody gives a shit about, right? Oh, we're going to do a thing on Ironheart. Now, like Ironheart, I don't think she's ever had a series that like lasted more than 20 issues, right? So like, nobody cares. Like, so there is no build. There's no. That was the greed
of House of Mouse I think that one president was saying like all these projects are happening, and then they kind of like recently they just said no, those aren't all happening. I think.
Well, I mean, like
what you're saying about the greed.
Well, the analogy I was using is like I was using an analogy for like people like I used to love Social Tea cookies as a kid from Nabisco, loved them to death. They were discontinued. They brought back the brand, but the brand that they brought back doesn't taste like the Social Teas I had when I was a kid. They taste like shit, right? So I don't love them because even though they say they're Social Tea, they're not actually Social Tea because they don't taste the same. Like the same thing, like it's like so if you eat a Chips Ahoy cookie now, it doesn't taste like a Chips Ahoy cookie from like 20 years ago. It's not the same taste because they changed the formula, they changed the manufacturer, they made it cheaper, right? Yeah. So what people have to understand is if I'm a fan of wrestling, or I'm a fan of a particular style of story or a particular style of genre, the fact that you say you're doing the genre doesn't mean that it's that genre, right? And this is kind of like. It's kind of like and again this is kind of the story like and where I think Tony has been really successful and Tony and AEW have been really successful is I want a particular style and they generally when I spend my money on an AEW event, right? When I spend my money with AEW, I feel like I get satisfaction for my money except for one instance, except when MJF is involved in the main event. Essentially, right? Yeah. Like the one time, like, and again, even that show, which is like one of the worst mains I've ever seen, like the MJF Jay White thing, that show has Swerve Hangman on the undercard. Like I bought that show on Swerve Hangman, and so like I didn't feel, even though I felt like killing someone because like I watched that main, I was still happy because I saw the undercard, and the undercard was really fucking great, right? So essentially, like, the other part, like, this is the other really important, like, so I'm a WWE fan, and I spent, like, I've never spent $30 on a pay-per-view, and I'm spending $30 on this pay-per-view. Am I going to be happy that I spent $30 on this pay-per-view?
I don't. So you're going to spend $30 to get like maybe 4 matches, and I think they're trying.
Like 2025 Cena. Like, so I'm gonna read you. I'm gonna read you the card. It's 6 matches.
All right.
John Cena, Brock Lesnar singles match.
Yeah.
The Usos against Division, Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker in a tag team match. That should be.
That might be the best match on the card.
That sounds like that sounds like a 3-star special. Like if it was the Usos from like 5 years ago, yeah, you could probably maybe get to like the notebook level. But this is like a 3-star special now because Jay can't go. Jay cannot fucking go anymore.
Jay cannot go. Jimmy is good, but he can't be the guy to carry the whole match. It's insane.
And Bronson is a guy who's good if you put him with the right worker. So Bronson's a guy who can Bronson's a guy who can work a match with a great worker. But the best, like what Jimmy and Bronson, the ceiling on that is like maybe 3.5, right? So yeah. And Braun's fine, but again, Braun's another guy who will be good. He's not gonna carry it. Then we have the mixed, which is gonna lean towards comedy and shtick. Like we've seen the intergender WWE match before, and I'm good. I've seen it, but like, what was the last big, like, what is it? The Edge and his wife against, I forget who the fuck they were working, but like, yeah, we've seen the intergender thing before many times, and it's never good in WWE. Then we have Cody Drew. Again, this is another
zero build.
I mean, the ceiling's what? Zero, but like, I mean, I guess they could work a 3.5 match. I mean, I guess they're gonna. The problem is, I feel like this is a match that's gonna, like, there's gonna be some. It's the first match. There's no build. They're probably going to have some sort of running or interference and shit. So, like, I don't expect a clean match. I expect something like a 3. I expect the match that'll basically have bullshit at the end.
Yeah,
I expect it's a Cody match. It's a Cody match. It's going to have a dusty finish.
It's a Cody special.
But it's going to have a dusty finish.
Yeah,
he's going to look up at his dad. Dad, we're doing this finish for you.
It's pretty funny because I think there was like a little bit of I'll sprinkle this in a little bit. So like he was like a little bit complaining that his match and the build didn't like get the respect it did, like in the little interview he did. And like I'm just like, but you went to film a movie and you witnessed the birth of your other kid. What are you complaining about?
I mean, I know. You know what's funny? Like the thing I concluded watching the Double or Nothing about Cody is like, I was watching Double or Nothing 2019.
Yeah.
And the thing that occurred to me is, like, if Cody came back, you know what the match they need to do is if Cody came back to AEW?
What's up?
They need to have Kyle beat the shit out of Cody. Like basically they need to replay Cody Dustin with Kyle as Cody and Dustin as and Cody is Dustin. But without the You're My Brother finish. Basically, like, Kyle beats him bloody to shit. I mean, they can come back to it later. Like, they do some sort of career match. But, like, the first match, Kyle needs to beat the shit out of Cody. Cody wants Kyle because Cody, hurt his brother, retired him. It's the whole thing. And it's like the what is it? The view never changes. We do all that shit. But Kyle beats him to a pulp and beats him bloody. And then you do the rematch down the line where it's like title against career, Cody versus Kyle. And I was like watching this, like, oh yeah, I mean, like, it makes a ton of sense because of the way Kyle retired Dustin. Like if Dustin ever came back, like Cody ever came back, the feud is with Kyle because that would be fucking hot. And then you can kind of like make it the old man Cody against young man Kyle. And it's better than anything you could fucking do in WWE with Cody. It's kind of funny. Like, I'm not sure he ever comes back, but if you did, that's the match you want to run. It would be like fucking fun. And then, okay, so next match, here's the match that's probably going to be the best technical match on the card. Io and Stephanie McCurry, right?
Oh, I forgot about this one. Yeah, it should be all right.
This match, yeah, this should be like a 4-2. They should be like a 4-4-2-5 match probably.
Yeah.
With like it'll have like a bit of like but I suspect like Io will probably be working at like 75% speed for this match. They'll both be working at like 75% speed match. So it'll be as good as like a Stardom match, like a good Stardom tournament match. WWE fans are going to get pissed at me. But like, I mean, here's the thing. I think both Io and Stephanie are great, but I think the agenting in WWE is shit and it's gonna let them work a match the top end match that they could work.
They also don't want them to overshadow like the Cody match. They don't want them to overshadow the AJ match that's probably gonna be happening after it. That's how I feel.
If Io and Stephanie wanted to have like a 4.5, 475 match, they could. They totally could.
Yeah.
But again, as I said, like I don't think the agents are going to let them. They're not going to give them the time, and they're not going to give them the space to work and be like the best fucking match on the card. And then also because the next match is, God, look at this triple threat. This triple threat is fucked up. Tiffany Stratton versus Jade Cargill versus Nia Jax.
Oh my God! I'm sorry for Tiffany Stratton. I like Tiffany. She's a pretty good talent, but you put her with those two. That's,
you know what? I'm going to defend Jade a little bit here because I think part of the problem with Jade, and it's WWE works a very, very narrow style for women's matches, and that very narrow style that they work is very bad for women that like want to work like Jade wants to work like more like either an old school heel or like a more kind of fighty match, like a more Mox style match is what you want to work with Jade, where she's like doing strikes, like doing power moves. That's better, but like WWE doesn't work that match, and it's like it's bad. Like it's like somebody was talking about the difference between Tekla and Julia, and like Tekla in large part has been very successful in AEW TV because AEW's put her in matches that like are great for her. He had this great match with Aminata where like they're just beating the crap out of each other. Yeah, it's the perfect style for her. She comes out, she's like big, she's working like you know like a brawler, right? Yeah. And that style is not something that like is necessarily something like the women are going to work. I joke about this. They all work like Norman Smiley. Norman Smiley's a trainer, but they all work they do the little kicks he used to do. None of them can base, and again, Norman Smiley, love Norman Smiley. I was a huge Norman Smiley fan as a kid. Norman Smiley is like an elite tier kind of athlete. Like he always was. He's like this insanely talented athlete, and like asking these girls to work like Smiley, which is just like they don't have it. And like nobody ever teaches them to base either, so like it ends up being missed. And again, it's a very narrow style that doesn't help them because it doesn't cover up a lot of their stuff. And they're always like, you can always tell that WWE women are counting what the fuck they're doing, right? So it's very
you could see like the changeover because Sarah Del Rey used to be the one who trained the women until she just went into the executive position and then she stopped doing that. And you see that changeover in NXT like completely. So the style in NXT changed once he took over to be more of this like athletic, do more of this fancy stuff. I can do it. Why can't you do it? Kind of style. Whereas Sarah Del Rey is kind of like, you know.
I'm gonna drop some knowledge on people, or the way I view matches and the way I view the competence of a wrestler. Right, when I'm watching somebody in ring, right, I think kind of the first level to get to they're good or they're passable, right, or they can work, is when you watch somebody. What you don't want is you want that person to stay in to keep the flow of the match. So there's a story being told, you're being sold a performance or like a play. What you don't want is you don't want wrestlers to break character. You don't want to see them counting steps. You don't want to see them stopping, and like botches are fine. Like if you have a botch in a match and then but you stay in the flow, and you don't like lose yourself, your step, your place in the match. You're still kind of flowing. Then you are on the next line. Then you start like going, okay, now you don't lose the flow. Now you start thinking about like holistically about the match, about what you're selling, and tell the story consistently. That's a great performance. Think about it. So I'll argue like somebody like Harley in AEW and like has actually like is actually really good when you watch a match where she doesn't lose her place in the match, right? And even when something happens in the match, she is good enough at improv where she does something else where like you stay in the flow of the match. So the flow of the match never stops, right? So like if she's working with a great worker, right, the match is going to be good, right? Because everything kind of keeps going, right? Now, there's a next level which is like, okay, so now let's improvise some things and add some creative and that's the next step, but like that basic level Another example I use for AEW is Anna Jay. Anna Jay used to get lost all the time. But now when I watch her matches, she doesn't. She like if something happens, you can tell that she kind of stays in the flow, and she does something else. She has decent enough strikes. I mean, she's not an elite level worker, but she's good enough that like the flow of the match isn't lost, right? The story, the basic story isn't lost, right? And a lot of the time, my problem when I watch a lot of PC products is like again they fall back, they rehearse the shit out of this. And when they lose a step, they can't like flow. It's like watching a dance troupe. If you're watching like a dance crew, and if the dancers aren't like great or don't have a lot of experience, when they flub or somebody fucks up, and somebody's always gonna fuck up, they like basically they lose the flow. Whereas like if you're watching like a high level like dance competition or something, there'll be a flub, but the guy will spin it off into something else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like if you watch like Kenny or like. Or Brian or Osprey or Fletcher or Hangman, like things or Hechicero. Hechicero's great at this. Something happens in the match. Or Hechicero and Bandito are actually who are incredible at it. Like something happens, and they move it into something else, right?
Yeah, that helicopter spot in that match where like Hechicero does like a helicopter,
yes.
and then he lands on his back, but then Bandito hits his face on the ring apron, and then he just like moves on, just keeps stomping on him. I think. That's
they immediately understand what's going on, and they work it into the performance, and that's the next like the elite tier is the guys who like use all these little things to do that, and then like throw in touches like again one of my favorite matches of all time is like the Zach Danielson match, the last one. And that match, when you watch it, the thing about that match is, and the Osprey match too with Danielson, where like a lot of the things that are being done in that match are the counters and the things that miss, right? And it's like, you know, a lot of the time you're watching these matches and people are always hitting each other, working around the hits, but these two guys are working around the misses, right? Which is like really interesting and really fucking hard to do if you think about it, right? Yeah. So you because you're kind of like you're essentially like planning around like these very tight windows, and it becomes like a really interesting dance. It's just again, this is me dropping knowledge, but this is the way like this is why like people are like, oh, there's because again when I watch these like women's matches for WWE, like I can never fully invest. Most of the time, I can't never fully invest in these pieces of product. There's some rare exceptions. I remember like at Stratton, I've actually been in some matches that I've liked from the. She had this match with Wendy Chu way back when, which is like a really silly match with like Legos and whatnot, but it's actually a really good match. It's like a play on the Brit from the Rosa match, but they do it with like WWE weapons in NXT, and it's actually a really fun match. And again, it's a match where like you get invested, you get in, and you're locked in, right? Like it's like when you watch these, like you're like me, you watch these silly Japanese shows, and sometimes there's like this silly match with like Dino, right? The gay Japanese wrestler Dino, right? And even though he's like a huge comedy gimmick, he's so good at it that you get invested in the performance involved, right? There's an insane match where he's working. Have you ever seen Dino against the Invisible Man? Yeah. Which is a match. Basically, he was supposed to work this wrestler. The wrestler canceled, and so they did a match with him against the Invisible Man. And again, I swear to God, you watch this, and he's so good at the work that you start believing, right, the performance, right? So it becomes like it's a performance. And again, that's kind of like we got to this.
Tanahashi's two best matches in this retirement run are Stalker Ichikawa and Denshoku Dino. I want that said. And everybody kind of knew that because Dino's again, he's a very silly gimmick and a very silly. But again, if you're a comedy guy who's doing a silly gimmick in wrestling, people don't respect these guys enough, and you can do it successfully over time enough that the audience like puts up with you, right? It's the Orange Cassidy thing. If the audience like respects your comedy gimmick, right? Like comedy's fucking hard, right? People like if you can get people to seriously respect you as a comedy wrestler, that means you are insanely good, right? And this is like people like because it takes a lot more to get people kind of seriously invested when you're putting in silly elements. Now, people will exaggerate this, but I mean, I think it's like you gotta respect it, right? And like it's something that like that. So we got off the board. Like, is there anything else you want to touch on for specifically for AEW or All Out? What do you think about All Out, by the way? Okay, because we went over the Wrestlepalooza card. I think we could go over.
We went over a little bit, but we didn't talk about the card.
Yeah. we'll go over the All Out card a little bit because it's for me the build was classic Tony Khan 2 week build, right? He kind of like he didn't know where the pieces were until the last 2 weeks, even though like that thing came out like, oh no, he always planned to have Kyle versus Hangman as a main event, but like the last 2 weeks they did an overdrive sort of push for the card, and I think they ended up in a nice place for everything that got settled in. I think the match card itself, it's really really solid. Where there's so much variety in it. You got the trios match.
Yeah.
You got the old school tag team match. So that's gonna be our old school like. What is
I was making the I was making this point to Doc before we recorded. I was saying like the best AEW pay-per-views, and people get mad at me about this. It's like, sometimes AEW falls into the sin where everything has to be a New Japan epic, right? Oh, we're gonna have this. We're gonna have like 4 40-minute matches on the card, and they do it back to back to back to back. And then by the end, like by the third one, the crowd is dead. They're like, "Oh, this is a great match." Why is the crowd dead? Because you fucking hit them over the head with like these long epics, and you basically kill the crowd by doing that.
Yeah.
And the best AEW cards historically are the ones where they have a variety. It's like it's essentially like a gourmet meal. If you guys ever go and do like a multi-course gourmet meal, they give you like sometimes they'll give you like little yogurt plates so you can like or a little ice cream to kind of between plates between the meats so that you clear your palate. And that's kind of the best cards because you're watching a show, but it's not all. It's a little bit more variety. There's a little bit more variation. It lets you appreciate the matches more. If you get like 4 40-minute epics back to back, you're going to lose. It's going to become noise, right? But if you time this out with like differences, then it creates an environment where you can appreciate it more. And if you look at this, we've got tailgate brawl, then we got a singles match with Daniel Garcia and Shibata, then we got a tag team match, which is like, and then we have the tag team match to open, which is going to be like a tag team match with like it's probably going to be a brawling match, the FTR Cope Christian match. We've got the trios match, which actually has had a hot build. We've got the singles match, Mercedes Moné and Riho, which I was joking that I'm assuming Moné is basically watching all of her boyfriends work. Like she's probably watching the hologram Mortals match and like going, "Hey, and say, Bevel, tell me how you did this move. Like, there's this because I think Monet is gonna work Monster in this match, and you're gonna like try to do all the other Beast Mortis catches is gonna fucking rule. And then you got Darby Allin and Mox. Darby Allin and Mox are doing a coffin match and gonna try to murder each other.
I do want to say this about Darby and Mox, right? So I grew up Catholic. A lot of this Darby Allin stuff, it feels sort of like like before Christ got crucified, right? He had that meeting with his disciples, right? He had that meeting with Peter where it said like, "Don't reveal who's gonna betray me." That's how I kind of felt with the Bryan Danielson like whispering into his ear and all that stuff. It feels like Darby knows he's gonna go into this match and he's gonna die. That's what it feels like.
Well, I think the way I read the Darby Allin and Mox thing is they're going to do this match is a first. Yeah. And Darby Allin and Mox will main event probably one of these pay-per-views with a death match or like a cage match. So they're gonna do the coffin match here, and I almost think like Darby's gonna fucking lose, and because essentially we're building to a bigger match that's going to be the main of something. It's not gonna be the main here, but eventually Mox Darby will be the main event of one of these shows, right? I'm fairly convinced that's the case, but it shouldn't be the main here because the main event program is Hangman and Kyle, which that's hot, and then Mark and MJF is also hot. It's the other big Rumble kind of feud match, but then you can space them out so they're not together. You've got the traditional 4-way, and the build for this traditional 4-way has been fucking great. I think this match.
That promo.
I think that 4. Yeah, I think that match is gonna rule. I think it's gonna be like really fun. I'm curious whether or not they're going to belt up Tekla, or move the belt off Tony, because Saray was talking about maybe working Tony in Japan. So maybe there are. If they move the belt off Tony, I think it's probably because they may put her in an IWGP program down the line. Yeah. I don't know if I like. Here's the thing. I kind of feel like right now you can convince me that Tony is your Thess Flair winner. You can convince me that Tony is the. I would probably vote for Tony for the Wrestler of the Year. Legitimately, it's a wild year because like my top 4 right now is probably Tony, then Saya from Stardom, then Hangman, then Bandito. That's my top 4. So I have 2 women, like 1, 2. This is wild, but I'm like, legitimately, you can make the argument for both Tony and Saya. Like Saya, like if no people don't know, like Stardom is doing Gango Busters business, and Saya's like just
Yeah.
totally recent. And it's a really weird year because like legitimately, I could see 2 women in the top 5. And I think I don't know if they have a chance of winning, but I mean, legitimately, they could they're gonna come close.
Yeah.
And Tony just really has been like the most important piece, and she's just like so fucking over that I don't know if I take it off yet, right? Although
Yeah.
I mean, like I was joking that the more fun thing would be like more Monet working Saray and beating her for IWGP, but you have to book Ultimo to give.
The belt.
Mercedes, the IWG. Like Ultimo has to come in and give her the belt, and between her and Ultimo, they have to hold all the belts for the mark pick. We got to get that right.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
That has to happen. That has to happen, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
but
Ultimo
that might be
had,
that might be a Wrestle Kingdom match if Okada works Wrestle Kingdom, then yeah, you get Ultimo to also and then you put the belt on Monet and then take the mark pick with put all the belts in the ring and have them both. Yeah, we got to have that. And then we have the Okada, Takeshita, Dorada match, or like this 3-way to me. And I've been saying this for a while. People keep stealing it. I've been saying for a while that I think that both AEW and New Japan want Okada to work Wrestle Kingdom against Takeshita on top. I think that's the main. Whether or not it happens is a political thing, but I do think they want that match. They've put plans in place in case it doesn't happen, but I think that's the match that they want. And in fact, I'm not convinced. That's the only. I think Takeshita is going to win the IWGP. I think Takeshita is going to hold the IWGP and beat whoever his rival is at Wrestle Kingdom, unless it's Okada. If it's Okada, I could see Takeshita losing to Okada at Wrestle Kingdom. And then because again, like the thing I was basically arguing with Okada is eventually Okada will come back to Japan and be a huge babyface, right? Eventually.
Yeah.
But right now, Okada coming back and winning. He's a huge fucking heel, right? Like now's the time. Like, the reason like you bring him back now is you bring him back as a heel to beat the shit out of all your young people. You literally you bring him in and he should like just destroy the Reiwas. Like pick one of them and Okada should beat him and like one of the Reiwas should lose to Okada and like if he wins, you bring him in like you have him beat I don't know fucking Oiwa or like no Yuya. Like he beats Yuya in like 3 minutes or something. Uemura. He beats Uemura in 3 minutes, right? Some shit like that. Because effectively you can build like you can use him to build it. He's this giant thing to overcome, and you can have somebody beat him. And then when he comes back in like 3 or 4 or 5 years, like when he wants to retire, when he wants to like do the talk show circuit in Japan, he's coming back as a babyface because he's going to do the talk show circuit with his wife in Japan. And then whoever he beat, right? Ready-made feud, right? Sometimes the conversation like there are things you can do with him now because of the way he's positioned, where like it's really valuable to bring him over and either put somebody over if you're gonna have Takeshita be your guy for next year, or or do something to put people over. But again, like I think politically, it's tough. Yeah. AEW, like I know Tony's booking. Tony's been signaling that Takeshita Okada's the match, and him doing it as a 3-way where like basically. And poor Dorada's going to eat the pin. Yeah, or Dorada's going to eat the pin here, right?
Yeah.
And so Okada's probably going to pin Dorada here. But essentially, what you're building towards is you're telling me that there's going to be a big match, and to me, the place to do it is probably Wrestle Kingdom. But there's obviously political things in play. We're not going to get into that because it's not a New Japan market, but it's really interesting. Yeah. And then you have Big Bill and Eddie Kingston, which would be a nice, fun match. And then you have the 4-way, which again, the 4-way sounds like an awesome match, right? But it's a very different style thing. Yeah, it's like you're going to sit there and like you're not going to get hit over the head over the same type of match, which I think is going to make for a really good card. And I feel like, what do you think is going like so the really important bit is the way I think this pay-per-view is going to run is AEW is going to do the same thing they did for All In, whereas the semi-main is going to the semi-main is going to like I would suspect it's going to be Okada, Takeshita, Dorada as a semi-main. And I would suspect Don Callis is going to be on call again. And I suspect that Don Callis is going to get... What happened... People who... Like, if you know ball, what happened in the last pay-per-view was... So it was Okada, Omega. And Callis was sitting there on comms. And I suspect Callis got the cue oh, there's like 3 minutes to the hour, and then Callis, when he gets the cue, he gets up and interferes in the match because he's basically triggering the end sequence because they want to end exactly at 8 o'clock. So I'm assuming they're going to do it again with the Okada Takeshita Dorada match, which will basically that match will stretch to basically the start of the Wrestlepalooza. Right, so like Callis will be there, and whatever Callis is going to do for Takeshita and Okada will be triggered by Callis interfering. Yeah. Like this is me predicting, but I'm assuming that's how they're going to lay it out because that's what they did last time and it worked. And they trust Okada and Takeshita to bring it home on time. So they trust Okada. They apparently trust Okada to like hit the time markers better than anybody else. So they'll do. I think they'll do it again. Like because I don't see any other match where like there's a clear kind of.
There's too much chaos in all the other matches, and the other singles matches they're not going to go that long.
It's the easiest one. It's the easiest match to bring home quickly. So they'll get a time cue, like Callis will signal to the ring by doing some sort of like ref interference, and Okada will pin Dorada. People, I'm saying this without knowing. This is before it goes on, and that's my prediction for that match. And then we'll get into like Hangman Cal Fletcher. Which will basically, I'm expecting the Hangman to be coming out as Wrestlepalooza is going in the air, right? So and then that'll go I'm assuming that's going to go. I mean, I would, it's a real opportunity. Did they put a time limit on this? Like they could do a 60-minute draw here, right? They haven't done that. They haven't done that in a while. But just do a 60-minute draw here. It would be kind of like fucking cool. I mean, I think Hangman wins, right? But I think a 60-minute draw would be extremely cool. Right?
Yeah. I think this match is also
have him dead by the end, right? Like let's just do a big brutal match that nobody wins.
Yeah, because you were talking earlier about epic matches. This is definitely built to be an epic match, and especially they threw in the Continental rules, the no interference at all. If there's interference, he gets stripped of his belt. I think that's what they said.
Yeah.
And I think it's gonna be they're building this so because this is for the wrestling fans, this is for the sickos. They're telling you that this match is gonna be exactly what you want, and I think that's what's gonna keep people tuned into the match. That's what's gonna keep people like what you said, going to a draw, having them hold on to every part of it so that it goes all the way into Cena versus Brock, so that people aren't gonna be wanting to switch over, because I think that's what ESPN or WWE's strategy was for putting Brock and Cena first. Yeah, I mean, is switching people in the middle of the main event.
And it also you've got your top two champions working. Yeah. Kyle's definitely on the come up, and Hangman already took the big bump, so you can work. You can basically sell Hurt. So there's real money. Again, this is me, old school promoter. Old school promoter's I mean. I would think that doing a draw in this spot is good, right? If you do and again, you have to work you have to work at an insane level. But I trust these guys to work, a match at the year level match, and make it big, make it brutal, make it nasty, and either Hangman wins a close one, or you work it to a draw, and there's not gonna be a rematch, right? And we hold off, and we hold off. We kick this off to 6 months down the line, to get back on that, right?
Yeah. Either way, this match is gonna go 40 plus. My prediction 40 plus for this match.
Yeah, but it should looking at this card, it should be the only match on the card that does, right?
That does, good, right? It's the only one that should.
There's no other match where I'm looking at this card and go no, it's no, this is the match that should go long, right? I think Briscoe, Allen, Moxley, Briscoe, and MJF are both matches that are going to be limited by the fact that you're going plunder. I think the three-way will go as long as they need it, right? So essentially, what will happen is but because it's a three-way and there's that it won't it won't be a thing where it'll overstay, right?
Yeah.
We kind of know, and essentially, again, I'm wondering if you do a finish, or if you basically decide to do Danielson Hangman again, right? So let's just go either Danielson Hangman or Omega Danielson, which are two matches and again that set up a very kind of sets up a long-term story for you to keep working at it. I think I think again, Fletcher. To me, Fletcher shouldn't win here, right? But he also should look strong, right? You've got something here, right? You wanna set this up. Like Fletcher is your next guy. He's clearly kind of there, but we don't want to do it yet. It's a really interesting card. So yeah, I mean, as I said, like I bought. I think it's going to be a really interesting card. I think that it's going to be fun. There's a lot there I'm actually interested in. I'm looking forward to it. Right? It's, I mean, I probably won't end up watching the whole thing live because I'm going to be again Saturday afternoon, so I'm going to be doing shit. But I'll definitely I'll watch the end of it live and then like get on and watch the beginning after. I already paid for it, so I'm going to watch it.
What I liked also is AEW 20Con sent out that tweet, right, where it showed where you can get it: YouTube TV, Amazon Prime, HBO Max, PPV.com, Triller. They put everywhere where you could watch it, domestically and internationally, and I think that was tremendous.
Yeah, no, but like they've done that on they've done that like again they know what they're doing in this particular, and it's fairly easy for that, and they made it easy and they pushed it. It's like so essentially, as I said, I think that it's going to be over because their partners are all pushing it. Yeah. They're doing good live ratings on this, and they've got like I think right now the arrow up on them, right? There's some issues like people were complaining about like the attendance, but some of that like I think like they specifically. So part of this is they specifically went to like smaller markets or smaller venues and the residencies because they thought the economy was going to be shit. They're not completely wrong, and I mean I guess I ultimately think that they don't care as much about big buildings on TV. They care about hot looking buildings on TV. Right?
Yeah, they want the buildings to sound loud, to look good. I mean, they went to a more traditional arena this past week, which was nice that it was pretty filled up too. But like, as far as like for me personally, I don't care if the building is small. I just want the audience to look like they're alive, and I want the audience to sound like they're alive.
Now, people were saying that there was a residency effect with. And we're going to talk about Nielson now and some of the other things. So the residency effect from being in the ECW arena. So, okay, I don't think that was the case. I think there are a couple things going on. I think partly it was because the U.S. Open was on and the news. I think the U.S. Open was like a big draw. It has been a big draw against that before. Yeah. I think HBO was pushing and AWB was pushing and AEW was pushing hard to move people over to HBO. And I think the other part is like there was some measurement, like essentially it was like the last gasp of the old Nielsen switching from their old 45,000 boxes and houses to like big data from all the providers, and that started happening this week. And like I think part of the numbers going up is that, and we kind of knew that like the Dynamite was one of the big error shows that they had, and like the new measurement's going to help Dynamite. But again, like the tricky bit with this is. Everything suggests that the HBO numbers are good and up because subs are up and whatnot. People like people in the demo have HBO over TBS now, and there's a thought that like with Nielsen and WBD put up a press release about a week ago talking about their new deal, and that there's a real possibility. Actually, I sent a tweet to Dave Meltzer, and Meltzer kind of agrees with me. We think that at some point. In the next few months, we don't know exactly when, we're going to get the Dynamite on HBO ratings, right? It may be in October. We don't know. But definitely by the end of the year, we're going to get it, right? At some point, like they're rolling out, Nielsen's rolling out a new system for measuring. It's going to include all the stream apps and whatnot. It's rolling out this week, next week, and the first week in October. Whether or not HBO is going to be rolled into that, we don't know for sure, but it sure seems like from the press releases the joint press releases that WBD and Nielsen did that it might happen. And if it does, I do think that we're going to get it's going to be in the 1-2-1-3 number range. I think I think everything suggests to me that like it's like 500, 600,000 on HBO at least. It may be higher because they've pushed it higher, and like then you got 700,000 on the other one, so like it's a significant number. And again, this is why I'm really interested because this is the first time that this whole cycle, HBO has been extremely aggressive at pushing the All Out pay-per-view. They've been pushing it up on their app. They've been pushing it on the interstitial. They've been doing commercials and whatnot. And everything does seem to indicate, like when I say everything indicates that Dynamite on HBO is doing really well, is like I did this experiment with someone else where we sat down and so they're selling local ads in the different markets. Right?
Yeah.
And we sat down and we counted the ads, the paid ads that were being shown on Dynamite. And when I say paid ads, when you look at a show, there's in-house ads and there's paid ads. In-house ads are like if it's on TBS, if the show is on TBS, and the commercials are for TBS, TNT, or WWE property, that's generally what you consider a paid ad. So like if you're watching on HBO and the commercials for I don't know, Game of Thrones, right? So Game of Thrones commercials on HBO is an in-house ad, right? And over a 2-hour show, this is last week, we counted 60 paid ads, 60 plus paid ads, right?
Yeah.
So that's an insane number. That's like the 60 paid ads, and the 60 paid ads included an SEC. They included SEC ads. They included NFL ads. NFL, like the NFL was doing commercials, car ads, beer ads, a lot of pharmas. There was like and they're local there, so they were doing I was getting some ads, and somebody who was in a different market was getting different ads. And this week I didn't count it, but like this week the last ad on my feed for HBO, right? The third hour ad. This is like 10:50 ad. Was a Volkswagen Touareg, which is like a luxury car ad on the last ad break of the night. And I'm like, Jesus Christ!
Yeah,
like,
for me,
like
it was Lincoln Navigator.
Yeah, so they're doing premium car ads on the final block, on the local ads on HBO. And what this suggests is Nielsen's been rolling the big ad data, and the press release from HBO and WBD was saying that they were using the big ad data, like the new big ad data packages for their ad partners. What this suggests to me is like once they rolled out that package, like a lot of the ad buyers went like, we want Dynamite, right? What does that mean?
Yeah.
That means that like the ad buyers, the big ad buyers, the people who spend money on this, looked at what the numbers were for Dynamite on HBO and went like, oh, we want some of that shit, right? Right?
Yeah.
That so essentially, again, looking at this subjectively, the property seems to be doing well. Now, we don't have the hard numbers, but the incidental stuff that would indicate that it's doing well, also stuff that leaks, suggests that, and the way WWE is acting suggests that, AEW Dynamite is doing really well, right? And again, we'll see the final numbers, but I mean, I think it's good. I think, it's an interesting. I think some of the data that's come out, and Meltzer's talked about this, the ad rates on the WWE shows are not as great because, again, we mentioned this before. They're more of a moments than a live brand, if that makes sense.
Yeah. A lot of I think they were still doing My Pillow ads for WWE.
My Pillow, yes,
like that level. So when we're talking about big brand names with AEW meaning something, these ads are targeted in your specific region, and a lot of it also is a lot of domestic, like Tide brand, like Downy.
I mean, I think people need to
a lot of that. It's
if the way to view it is the way you view TV. So if the regional sales were not if the numbers weren't good, you'd be getting things like you keep getting car chasing lawyers, and you'd be getting local furniture, that kind of lower tier, cheaper ads, because you kick down a tier. And then the people who are buying it are block buyers, local ad buyers. But the local ad sales are still getting national luxury brands. I mean, if you're again, as I said, on a regional brand, if I'm getting ads for the opening weekend, for the NFL is buying ads on this, you're like, oh shit.
That's crazy.
And if the luxury car brands are you're like, holy shit. And I mean, there's been indicators of this shit before because I remember I remember pointing this out when they went on the simulcast. You remember when the Death Riders first came out, right? They were doing product placement with Dodge, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, the Dodge Ram truck.
the Dodge. They would do everything with the Dodge Ram truck, the tiny man from the Dark Order, chasing them, and they're in the Dodge, and they're doing the commercial. It's actually a commercial where Mox is driving, and they're all sitting in the back. So they're doing product placement with Dodge, and I'm like, oh, that's. I mean, like the product is doing so bad that like WWD is placing all their premium properties on the show, and they're doing product placement ads with a heel faction with Dodge, and I'm like, and they're doing ad reads for DraftKings live on the show. But then like, we're looking at the ads, and they're all like premium ads on like the regional ad sales are all national brands, and I'm like, Jesus. I mean, yeah, I mean, like whatever the ad buyers are seeing is really fucking good. And again, what we were talking about was for WWE, this isn't the case, and it's been a problem with Netflix, where like there's some real indicators that a lot of people don't watch it live, even on Netflix, right? So like the people, again, you've trained these people to watch highlights, so they wait until the ads are off and watch it 2-3 days down. So you got a bunch of viewers still, but they're not watching it live, and they're doing the skip thing, so they're not watching the full thing. And everything is kind of pointed that like both. Actually, it's funny because like some of the other days, like Collision is actually a show where like people don't watch it live on Saturday, but they do watch it Sunday. Like Collision is a show that like seems to be watched Sundays. It's Mondays. People just watch it after, and it's a big rewatch show. So there's a lot of like really interesting tidbits that I would like to see and know about once we get a little bit more data.
Yeah, that's gonna be.
And we got like we got really interesting in the weeds. So I'm gonna ask you like, so Doc, so we're gonna talk about something weird. What is the one weird wrestling match that you've seen in the last 2 weeks that you'd like to recommend?
I'm starting to. Damn. Well, you know what? I'll say it. So I did watch Triple A Worlds Collide, and I gotta say, Dominic Guerrero. Oops, slip of the tongue. Dominic Mysterio versus Vikingo was pretty all right.
I mean, here's the thing. Given the amount of callbacks that Dominic does to Los Gringos Locos, everything from the go with Dominic has been Los Gringos Locos. Yeah, you can call him Dominic Guerrero. I don't think he'd mind it, because everything is in that line. And the Mexican fans, like, their stuff flies with that AAA audience because it's very coded. Like, my favorite thing for this year has been Flamita Diamante Oni El Bendito trio.
Right? Oh man,
which
I love clumsy. I love clumsy Bendito. It's like endearing now to me.
Bendito he's actually gotten way better, and it gets weird. Like the problem is like when he works with like these guys who are not familiar with the dojo system, it does kind of get like a little clunky. But that trios, which I mean, I saw them. They put them together like in the middle of a Dragon Gate tour of like the high schools, and they put these three guys together, and it fucking worked, and everybody fucking loved it. It was a thing that like happened by happenstance, and it's like if you haven't tracked them down, some of the matches are just really fucking great. And, like if you don't know, Flamita is probably one of the best lucha workers that isn't signed to a major promotion. There are reasons why. I'm not going to get into Mexican mafia reasons. And then Diamante is really fucking great. And Onio Bendito, like, I mean, he's very raw, but he's like as a base, he's got, you can tell he's going to be an elite base, like in like 3 or 4 years, right? So like, it's a really fun, that, and then like the Dragon Gate shows in general have all like been really fucking good. And that's the thing I've enjoyed. That and Tony Storm might be the things I've enjoyed the most this year in wrestling, which is kind of really interesting.
Yeah, I really, the thing that gets me to watch, because I watched the last Dragon Gate Korakuen show also. The things that gets me to watch is like really good lucha libre, because that's pretty much the style that I love. And I also did watch parts of Super Viernes, but yeah, for some reason that Dominic Guerrero match that's what spoke to me last week.
I love Shun and his 2 sons. I love the dynamic. I think that's gonna be fucking great. I think that's gonna rule. I can already see that being. He's gonna love the second son more. I can already see it, and like that's gonna be like the lead for those 2 kids, kind of like having an all-time. Like again, if people who aren't familiar, like Shun is the ace of Dragon Gate. And he basically got kicked out of his old stable. It was the heel stable. Now he's kind of in the middle of turning. And he's kept he got the young boy, Honare. And I forget the name of the other one, which is the other huge prospect for Dragon Gate. He basically kind of, they beat the tag champs, and they refused to challenge the tag champs, and they challenged the trios champions, because we were challenging them. And they wanted to challenge them 2 on 3, and they said you can't do that,
Oh.
and so Shun basically picked the other new great young boy that Dragon has as partner, who's confused. And I can already tell this is going to lead into, like, Shun's going to fall in love with the second son, essentially, and going to love him more than Hanare, who's the first son, who basically followed him to leave the faction. And I think it's going to lead to eventually these two kids, like, down the line, they're going to, like, be rivals. And it makes sense because from everything, these two kids are like the next two big aces for like if you watch them, these two kids are like really fantastic, right?
Yeah.
Like they got the look, they got everything. That you can tell that these are going to be the next stars. And putting them in this faction with Shun, where like there's going to be like all these dynamics between the two of them, and it's going to be like really interesting. Is kind of a really fun way to build stories with. Again, like what I've harped on this before, where I said like, oh, we're doing this, and I can see where I can like make money on this. I can like a promoter, I can make money on this 5 or 6 years down the line, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I
The thing
also
that I complain about New Japan never doing. Yes.
yeah. I also want to recommend, because I don't want to give WWE money. I do want to recommend Fuda versus Ryoya. That was a pretty damn good Brave Gate match.
Oh yeah, that was a great match.
Yeah.
Now, the Mochi match was really good too. The Mochi match
yeah.
was really. Mochizuki, love Mochizuki. Old man Mochizuki is great. Yeah, I mean like there's a lot of really good wrestling out there. Everybody you don't have to watch it all, but you can find some stuff that you like. Like I always say, like it's the same. Like find something different that you like, and if you feel yourself flagging, and find something that like tickles your fancy. I think you mentioned Super Viernes. I watched that Brodito match. Was great too. It's
that tag team match with Oro and Rojo. That was those two guys. They're fantastic.
Some people some people in we were in Social Suplex. People were complaining about it's one of the places we are, and people were bitching about they didn't give me a story for Kyle and Hangman. I'm like, dude, it's Kyle, it's Hangman. What fucking story do you need? Like it's the Morty give. It's like son of a bitch, I'm in. All you have to say. It's like some guys like the elite level aces, right? The guys who are the true. When I say the ace of the universe is here, right? Somebody who's at the Tana level. At that level, that guy shows up. I don't need anything else. Like, this is why I said like Bandito's at that level. It's Bandito. I don't need anything other than it's Bandito, right?
Yeah.
It's Bandito. Look at him. It's Bandito. What else do you need, right? Like,
because Kyle and Hangman, those are two of the top workers, like belt to belt guys, like right now, right at the top of their game right now, and they're giving them. They're give them the show. That's the driving factor. They're gonna give them the show.
I don't need anything else other than saying, these two guys who are really good, and like I must watch everything they do are working each other this weekend. I was like, yeah, fuck, I gotta watch that.
Yeah.
Like, what's my ceiling on this match? Well, the ceiling on this match is match of the year, right? That is the ceiling I'm putting on this match.
The floor is 4.5, man.
Yeah, the floor is 4. Like, when has Hangman not? Like Hangman against somebody who's willing to mix it up and like work stiff with him. When has that never not worked, right? Again, it's sometimes don't overthink this, guys. Like there's a certain level of guy that, again, as I said, Bandito's another of that level. It's like Bandito's working. Okay, right now, if you tell me Bandito's showing up like he's showing up at like at a GLEAT show. Well, maybe not a GLEAT show, but he's showing up at like a DDT show. I'm all in. When is he like what? Like I don't care who he's working at DDT. It's like what? Like Bandito Dino? Fuck, let's watch that. Shit, that sounds like an awesome time.
Oh man.
Like,
hey, Bandito's worked in Zadokos before, so.
Bandito Yoshihiki, the sex doll. He's working that's like what's my floor? That's like 4 stars. I want to see that shit. It's like, again, it's like a certain level of guy. You just assume that the match is going to be awesome, right? So you don't need that much. Like when you got, like if you tell me like Swerve's like that, Swerve's working a program. Okay, I want to see it because Swerve's reached that level for me, right? Because I understand like Darby's working a TV match. Okay, I'm down, right? Because they've reached that level for me.
Yeah, and I do want to say this point. A lot of my viewing of AEW, to be honest, is I drop in for these pay-per-views, right? I the TV's on, but I'm not really super divested in the storylines. I'm looking at like what the matches are going to be at the end point, and looking at like, oh well, yeah, I should watch this because like if I look and think about the build for every match, I'm just like, okay. But then if I look at the card, just looking at the card, I'm like, what? Well, I guess I should watch this show. So, and
Yeah, I mean, it's like if Mystico showing up, or like, so, hey, you again. This is like, there's enough. Like, this is why I'm watching like the match. Like, it's like right now, Brodito, not Brodito, but like Brodito. I want to see him because like, yeah, it's cool, it's hot, it's gonna be fun, and that's essentially kind of what you want. You don't need that much story. Like, if you build the reputation for delivering in ring, then I am willing to show up for your show because I think that your show is gonna be good. And on that note, do we have anything else, Doc?
So it's the 92nd anniversary of CMLL. And
the 92nd. Okay.
And the main event of that show is going to be, I know we were talking about him earlier, MJF, the CMLL Light Heavyweight World Champion, versus Mystico, title for Mask. The way they've built this over the past, 6 months has been pretty tremendous. I know like their whole building to this thing of like MJF saying he's afraid of being bald. He doesn't respect bald people. So this match didn't end up being up West Us for his hair, but I'm pretty interested in how this match goes. I'm pretty interested yeah.
I think that's what's gonna happen is that I think MJ is dropping it, and then the next match is gonna be the hair match. I was joking that basically MJF is gonna get a honeymoon in Turkey with his wife, right? So he got I think MJF got married so that like he could take the pictures before losing his hair, right? So he takes the pictures before losing his hair. He has the match, and he gets a haircut. Like I think this match is not gonna be hair. I think he'll do the hair. You'll do hair mask next. So I think this will wind up being two apuestas, and then you do hair mask next, and then MJF can take a vacation to Turkey to get his hair fixed after with his wife, his honeymoon. And I kind of think that we're going to see Andrade show up tonight. I have this, like, again, MJF and Andrade have been beefing online. He got released, and I feel like Andrade is going to play in, but I think he might play in as a babyface. Right? We'll see. Because I think because Sammy joined LFI on the AEW side, I think that like the play is probably Andrade as a face right now, right? But we'll see. It's interesting. Yeah. I do think he's going to show up. I do think, but again, I think that like CML is smart enough that they understand that the money is in stretching these apuestas out with MJF. MJF has been great in Mexico, but there's no reason. There's absolutely no reason for Mystico to lose his Mexico. The Mystico's not losing his mask. And he's not losing his mask right now. So that's not happening, right?
Yeah. The other match.
Insane.
Yeah, that'd be insane if he actually does lose. That'd be crazy. I don't think that's gonna happen. I do also the other match that I'm pretty excited about because I really like Angel de Oro and Niebla Roja. They're just a good like beefy boy tag team for lucha, and they're facing Villano Tres Jr. and El Hijo de Villano Tres, who I think they're going to be something, man. They're going to be really something as singles or as a tag team. These two like are the next generation Villanos. I really hope they end up like in ROH on the new next Dean show, wink wink, whenever they have more luchas come on, because I want to hear Tony Schiavone say Villanos again. That's all I want to do. But that's like one of the matches because those two are like I think they're under 25 and they're tremendous.
Yeah, that the Copa Independencia final is also going to be really fucking good. Yeah. I like Difunto a lot. Difunto Titan, Templario, and Barbosa. That's going to be fun. That's going to be like...
Oh, man. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
Difunto's a guy like, and then you see him like work and he's like diving all over the fucking place like a crazy person. He's like I
love his mask too, man.
He's a little bit like Lucha Darby in a way. Not as good. I mean, Darby's like, but he works that kind of like Daredevil style, which I love that shit. It's general like if people haven't like watched the CMLL card, CMLL cards are like insanely fun. Like I highly recommend it. Yeah. And MJF is gonna like that MJF like Mystico match is gonna be so fucking hot. Yeah. It's gonna be crazy, insanely hot. So yeah, I mean like I would recommend it definitely if people haven't done that.
definitely go on the CML YouTube or go on Triller and get this pay-per-view because those are tremendous. And
Yeah,
thank you for
they
joining
did
me,
a
man.
deal for. By the way, they
Yeah.
did a deal for this CML. Like I'm gonna give them promo. They did a deal. I think they're gonna have like English announcing. So yeah, I mean like they're making this. CML is making this as accessible as they have in a while. So like if you haven't, again, CMLL, if you're like a fan of like if you say you're a ball knower, like you haven't seen a CMLL show, CML is arguably the best promotion in the world this year, and this is
Yes.
a really good card from them, and you should like if you haven't, you should.
Yeah.
Right?
Imagine two MJF haters, two distinctly anti-MJF guys
But now
saying,
see, but
"Watch this MJF match."
again, my issue with MJF was the placement on the card for him,
Yeah.
and MJF was born to be a racist gringo heel. Like
Yeah.
he
Oh my
is
God.
he is so perfect
He is
for doing this gimmick in Mexico. It's great. It's fantastic.
man.
Because
He's-
he can lean into his worst instincts in the US are the right instincts in Mexico, right?
Hey.
So he's perfect for it.
Hey Toro, I got an idea for you. If Dominic Guerrero gets released, Guerrero MJF, Dominic MJF tag team, Los Gringos Locos
Yeah,
2.0.
Los new Gringos Locos. Yeah, that would be.
Oh my
that
God.
would set the
That
would set the
heat.
territory on fire. The heat would be, like the amount of heat would be like I'm trying to think who could be the third for that team.
Who's gonna be Novia de Madonna too?
No. What's his? No. It needs to be no. It needs to be MJF, Dom, and I got the perfect third guy,
Is it there?
Atlantis Jr.
Triantes? Oh.
No. Atlantis Jr.
Atlantis.
Jr.
Oh,
The crowd
yeah.
already fucking-
Atlantis Jr.
The
Oh
crowd
my
already
God.
fucking.
They
The
hate
crowd
him.
already fucking hates him.
They fucking
hate him
hate
so
him.
much, and you put him heel and you put him with the Gringos, and then fucking A. He has to and then they have to beat up his dad. It's great. It's like goodness. It would the heat on that would be it would be fucking nuclear, right?
Tony
They
Khan.
would, yeah,
Tony Khan.
it would melt the fucking building. Like you could run Texas and just get people just hating so hard on that. It would be fucking great.
Oh my God, I think we saved AEW, man.
Yeah, and then you can have them feud with Bandido and with Brodito and Andrade, right? You could do something.
Oh shit. That's oh man. But yeah, I think that's all I have today, man. Watch Super
pitch.
Villain.
I had one more pitch for you, right? You know what they
Okay.
need to do for the next ROH? The next
What's up?
ROH main event, right? Bandito Eddie Kingston.
Latino
Bandito
heat.
Eddie.
Hey man.
And Eddie needs to put him over. That's the thing. We do it, and Eddie needs to put him over, right?
Eddie needs to be a
But it's
heel.
a really good. No, I mean it's fine as a babyface match, but it should be built like Eddie. Again, if Eddie's doing kind of a run where he's still not 100%, it's perfect for him to work. I want my belt back, and then work Bandito, and he just can't do it because again,
Yeah.
Eddie's great in
can't
that
keep up.
losing role, and he
Yeah.
can't keep up. And then I mean, again, you get the heat you would get is kind of nuclear, and it'd be kind of a fun fucking
Ooh.
match.
Final
Like,
battle.
Give me. I want some emotion in that final battle. Give me some emotion in that final battle with Bandito. Bandito needs an emotional kind of
Yo.
crescendo match for his match of the
That's-
year for his for wrestler of the year case, right?
Yeah,
and
just-
that I would think would be kind of
Ooh.
perfect.
Yeah, I'm hoping, I hope the Eddie we get was the Eddie from 2021 that stood toe to toe with Bryan and Punk and was able to get that performance out of Punk, because Bandito can work anybody, and if he can get that level of emotion, that level of aggression, that level of just man, that match could be something else.
Yeah, but I want Eddie in the older in the I want Eddie to be playing the role Jun Akiyama was playing in the Jun Akiyama Eddie match, right? So I want
Oh.
Eddie playing the older champ. I think Eddie would be really good at that older. Basically, I want him to play the the Japan grandfather. That's what I want. I want Eddie playing the elder Japanese elder statesman wrestler. That's I think a role that like it would be really good for him, and I think doing that against Bandito would be really kind of interesting, right?
Yeah.
Like the honorable elder, right? That's what I want. Like I want I like the that's I think something that has some meat. It would be kind of fun. And again, like the reason I want to do it for like Bandito is like I want Bandito to have. I need him to have like this emotional match. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's kind of
Eddie,
a place where like you can do that.
Yeah, Eddie was really great at having those emotional matches. Like I think one of his best matches was Claudio versus him at the Grand Slam, where like you felt like everything in there, and I was like, when he won the belt. So I do think that I hope he comes back tomorrow as like something else, because
yeah, I think this is just like a starter match for him. But I mean, again, I want to give him like a series of opponents that like help him kind of like let's give him some fun opponents, right?
Yeah.
I think that and as I said, I think the role should be start. And again, here's the thing. I think Eddie would be into it because he's a Kings Road fan. So like and again, he understands that the older Japanese wrestler who worked these events and kind of like I think that would be a role that'd be really suited for him. And they are like working with the younger talent and like putting some of them over is I think something that would be like in really good matches is something I could do. Like it doesn't mean I don't think he can't win something, but I think he can step into that role that Jericho was kind of occupying. I think Eddie would probably be better for it, right?
Yeah.
Than Jericho is right now because I think like sadly Jericho's kind of done. Anyway, that's me. That's my last idea. Doc, thank you for having me on. Ha sido un placer estar contigo aquí.
Yeah, man. I want to thank. This show is probably one of my favorite shows to do, and I do want to tell people like expect more of these because I think that what we do here is something that nobody else does, and I think when it comes to wrestling shows, what you're looking for, and we talk about it as far as wrestling shows is things that aren't being done that you don't see enough of, and this is tremendous, man.
We can get. I think we enjoy like the people like behind the scene. We enjoy it a lot. We want to do more. There are reasons why we kind of slow roll this stuff right now when we talk about it. But when we get talking, we have a lot of fun. So we're gonna keep doing this. And then like, but as Doc says, we're probably gonna if we can. God, druthers, we'll do more of this because we both love it, right?
Yeah.
Once a couple things get like resolved, and I know Doc has some really fun stuff for you kind of queued up. So hopefully a lot of that happens, and you get to have a fun time.
Yeah. But yeah. Again, go to Numbers Twitter, hit them up. It's about to be the NBA season starting, so it's gonna be a good times. Please watch wrestling, enjoy wrestling. And yeah, that's all I gotta say about that.
And be safe out
there. Oh, yeah,
there.
Be safe. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.